Hello, and welcome to the news that didn't make the news. How are you today? Let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do this. Hello, and welcome to the news that didn't make the news. I had someone not direct this at me, but I saw a post, I think it was on social media, asking why people make videos with hats and sunglasses. I can't speak to the sunglasses part because I've never actually done that. But I can speak to the hat part. As so many of you know that have followed me for a really long time, sometimes I get energy or visions or messages for you, for myself, for the collective in advance, and I write those down. And when it comes in advance, I will do hair, I will do makeup, I will do all of that. But a lot of times when spirit or higher self tells you something immediately, or there's an immediate message that comes through, it's immediate. And so when you have an immediate energy or an immediate message that's trying to come through, this is something I've realized in the last many years of making videos. If something's coming through right now and I am urged to bring a message right now, by the time I've gone in and bothered to do my hair, put on makeup, all the things that I have not done today, that message starts to dissipate. And it's not that the message itself is dissipating or the message itself is lost or in any way. It's just that the energy behind that message can dissipate. And so rather than to care about hair and care about makeup, I choose to bring the message to you when that message has the most energy behind it. Hello, guys. Lucia Ray, hello and welcome. Okay. I know there are thousands of people on lives right now that just go on to talk about nothing and interact with people watching. And as much as I do appreciate your energy and I appreciate you being here, I don't do those kind of lives. So I just want to talk briefly about what the energy is right now and how weird things may seem to be in your reality. And someone had posed the question, why do creators come on here without doing themselves up or just putting on a hat, sunglasses, pulling their hoodie up? And I can't speak for everyone when it comes to that, but I can say for myself, when there's a message with really strong energy, and then I go into the bathroom to do hair and makeup and all that stuff, the energy behind that message is lost. Okay. So the message itself does not dissipate or get lost, but the energy behind it does. And the energy of the message is very important to me. So I want to share that with you in this moment. Lots of weird, strange things are happening. Lots of disclosure is happening. The sun is firing off CMEs like we haven't seen in a really long time. So there's a lot of things that energetically feel like we're upside down. It feels to me like a massive pole shift, or it feels like the sun is actually splitting in half. That's the way it's come through to me. So thank you so much for being here, and sorry for my lack of interaction. If you're here on a normal basis, you know I'm not here to interact. And again, there are thousands of people who come for that reason. So you can watch them eat a bag of chips or watch them sleep or do all the other crazy things that people do on lives. In reality, I should probably pre-record these messages because the algorithm in YouTube does not favor live videos, and it never has. That being said, I have something that I want to share with you before I get on with my day. I will say for a very large group of us planet-wide, energetically, there has been this feeling and this knowing for a long time that you've worked on yourself, you've worked on your shadow aspects, integrating the shadow self, right? Into the whole self. The whole thing about connecting to your higher self or connecting to source or connecting to any kind of energy that you're connecting with is that energy has to descend down into your body, right? Everyone wants to talk about ascension, but essentially we start with descension, meaning the higher aspects, knowledge, learning, wisdom of self is descending down into you, into your physical body, so that you can make informed decisions. In the last several days of tarot readings, no matter what deck I use, no matter what question I'm asking, and no matter who I'm reading for or what the question is, the guardians keep coming through over and over again. I thought I was going to make this video 2 days ago, and so I asked the guardians if there was a specific message, and the card that I got was the guardians. So I guess ask and you shall receive, or they are here. You have an abundance of guidance. What I want to talk to you today about is there is a certain wave of consciousness, you that are here. This is the wave of consciousness that you're currently on. You have done incredible amount of work. We are humans, right? We are a soul essence having a human experience. So nobody in the human experience or the human body is having a complete, nothing is perfect. We're not perfect. And I'm not saying that we are. Hello and welcome to everyone that's here. I appreciate that. Yes, we definitely all work while we sleep. There is no doubt about that. So the message I want to say to the higher frequency of consciousness that has descended into you, the parts and pieces and fractals of wisdom that come through you, the descension of your higher self into you, working with your higher self as a guidance. There are an abundant amount of souls or soul essences on this planet that have done incredible work on their self, on their physical body, on their body, mind, and spirit connection. And that's what I want to talk about today, is how you have done so much incredible work, but then you're making a judgment on yourself because there is a job or a relationship or a friendship or whatever the situation or person may be for you, where you know you have incorporated a lot of wisdom, you have really worked on your body, mind, and spirit connection. However, you cannot still seem to be highly functional in certain relationships. Again, and I don't want to keep repeating this, the people that are here must not be people that have ever been on my lives before. There are thousands of people that go live on YouTube so that you can just say hi, how's the weather, what's up, what did you eat for dinner last night, okay? There are thousands of those people, and I'm not one of them. That's not the reason I'm here. I'm here to leave a message for people that are struggling with a certain thing. And that is, you personally have raised your frequency. You have raised your vibration. You are integrating higher self, and you are asking yourself, if I have done the work, if I have integrated, if I am balancing myself out, why can't I stay in this relationship and be the bigger person? Why can't I stay in this job or in this relationship and hold the higher frequency? Okay. So everybody has a base frequency, and then you're going to fluctuate daily and even throughout the day in that frequency. So your base frequency is here. That doesn't mean that you won't sometimes dip below that or even come above that frequency. But you have a baseline frequency. Your baseline frequency has been established for the last several years, but then you get into a friendship conversation that you've had for years, a relationship that you've had for years, a job that you've had for years, some sort of situation or personal relationship where when you are around that person or in that situation, you cannot hold that base frequency. And so the message from the guardians is that there are a big group of people holding a higher baseline frequency that are now judging themselves for how they are dealing or not dealing with their current surroundings. Okay. You've worked really hard on yourself and your life. So why is it that you can't be in this job, this relationship, or this friendship and hold that higher frequency? What you have told yourself, maybe taught yourself, or what the spiritual community has taught yourself, that has taught you, is that if you have a higher vibe, if you have a higher frequency, if you have a higher wisdom and a higher understanding and a higher knowledge, that you will be able to hold that frequency despite your relationships, your jobs, your family connections, and things like that. So, judging yourself on how you're dealing with your surroundings right now, this is the message from the guardians, is that you have worked really hard on yourself, the different parts of self that you're integrating, those different streams of consciousness, those different streams of wisdom, and you are questioning yourself and or judging yourself for not being able to hold a frequency, a baseline frequency of what you can have. So in other words, I'm saying you're by yourself or around someone that has the same frequency as you, same baseline frequency. It's very easy for you to continue to hold that baseline frequency that you have worked so hard on. But why is it that you can't keep that high vibration in every single situation, in every job, in every relationship, or every family dynamic, right? So maybe you're looking back and you're saying to yourself, you know what? I've done the work. I've gained so much clarity. I've gained so much knowledge. I've integrated so many parts and pieces or specks of existence or fractals of soul self into me, yet I'm still not able to hold my baseline frequency at this job or in this family dynamic or in this relationship. I've done this for so long. I've held this base frequency for so long. Why is the practical application falling away or not working in this situation? So the guardians are saying you then go into judgment. So maybe the judgment is, I didn't do this work, or I can't hold this base frequency because when I'm around this person or when I'm in this situation, my base frequency drops to a level that, I was at last year, I was at 10 years ago. Having this knowledge, having this wisdom, and having this clarity, and having integrated those things into yourself is really important. But if you're judging yourself on how you're dealing with your surroundings and why you can't hold that base frequency, this is the message for you from the guardians. Because again, you're looking back and saying, What have I done? Where is the practical application of all that I've integrated, of all that I've learned and all the wisdom that I've gained, right? Um, so the answer here from the guardians is that in this time where everything seems to be upside down, the only way that you're going to know that a situation, job, relationship, geographical location, whatever it is for you, is not the right thing for you is that you're not going to be able to hold this base frequency. Okay, so let's say, for example, because we're all empathic, you're at the grocery store and you walk by someone at the grocery store, maybe who's in the bread aisle at the same time you are. And when you get close to that person, you feel their paranoia. You can hear their self-talk, let's say, okay? So your body knows to move away from that person. Maybe that person is momentarily paranoid. Maybe they did a substance that's making them feel paranoid, or maybe they're actually someone that deals with paranoia or paranoid schizophrenia. Your body will automatically back away from that person, knowing that that vibration is not the right vibration for you. Okay. And that's not about judging the person, it's judging how a person or situation makes your energy field feel. So if you're in that situation, then in the bread aisle, and you feel this paranoia and self-induced paranoia from another person, it doesn't matter, where that paranoia is coming from. Your body instinctually knows to back up from that frequency. When we're in long-term jobs, long-term partnerships, long-term family dynamics, we just keep trying to make it work and make it work and make it work. Now, it can be somewhat confusing because with relationships, jobs, and family dynamics, a lot of times there's karma, there's lessons to be learned. So you don't want to just back away from that like you'd back away from the person in the bread aisle, because there's something there that you haven't learned yet. So it takes a lot of discernment in your long-term situations and in your long-term connections to know, why have I spent so much time working on self and integrating higher self, integrating wisdom and clarity and knowledge, but I can't hold my base frequency? It's not because of anything that you need to unlearn. It's not because of your ego. It's not because of your self-judgment. The message from the guardians is that is the only way in this topsy-turvy energy, in this topsy-turvy world, to know whether a situation is right for you. Okay. So in your relationships or family dynamics, what have you, there are going to be situations when people have really bad days or they need to cry on your shoulder, vent to you or whatever. And that is a temporary energy that will then dissipate. So that's not what I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to people on a wave of consciousness that have stabilized their frequency, but around certain people or situations, they can no longer stabilize that frequency. And then those people, yourself and I, are saying, what has happened to my base frequency? What has happened to my clarity? And what has happened to my integration? And what I'm saying to you, and what the guardians are clearly saying to all of us, is that is the only way right now that you are going to know whether something is meant for you or not. If you've sustained a vibrational frequency for the last year or 5 years or 10 years or however long it's been, and you get around someone where you cannot hold that base frequency any longer, whatever that situation is, that is a clear and direct message to you that that is a situation that you are not supposed to be involved in. And so I will ask you, how sensitive are you to the things in your surroundings? One of the things that I want to mention to you, that I noticed about 2 years ago, was we had a great family friend that was a very ferocious reader. And every couple years, he would just bring over like 100 or so books for my family to go through and look at. Um, he bought so many books. I've never known anybody to buy and consume as many books and as much knowledge as this guy did. And he was constantly giving away those books. Well, many, many years ago, I took a very large stash of books from him. I would say probably 10 or 12 books. Now, I've had those books in my apartment, not super close to me, but on a bookshelf that I walk past every day. So within 6 feet of that bookshelf. And I decided maybe like 2 years ago, maybe I should read some of the books. Now, I want to tell you how sensitive your energy is. That's why I use the explanation of walking by someone in the bread aisle that's super paranoid and your body knows to back up from that energy or that situation. So 2 years ago, I just randomly went over to the bookshelf and I thought, I should read some of these books I've been holding on to. I've had these books, gosh, probably at least 10 years. So I randomly grabbed a book off the shelf, just opened it to a random page and read it. And to my surprise, not only did I know the information, but I had already made a video about the very information that was contained on this book at this random page that I opened to. So I went to a second book and then the third book, and every book that I opened and every page that I turned to, I had already made a video about that subject, even though it came to me, I can say in a natural, organic way, or we can say through osmosis. What I'm telling you is that's how important it is what is in your field. Now, when you're living with a partner or living with family members, they're talking to you, their thoughts are in your energy field, you're picking up every single thing. And though this book wasn't talking to me, it was just in written form, I was still picking it up through osmosis because it was in my energy field. That leads me to something that I have talked about for a long time, and I made an extensive video about probably 3 years ago. I want to bring it to your attention. Anybody that's having a hard time concentrating or sleeping or making decisions, this is really important. How sensitive exactly are you to your surroundings? Okay. If I'm picking up knowledge, written word from these books that I've never even read just because they're in my house, then think about everything you're picking up when you go to the grocery store, when you go to Walmart, when you go to Costco, when you're out walking. And that's why it's so important to be in nature, because then you're picking up through osmosis, whether you're conscious of it or not, information from the trees, from the birds, from the grid, from the sun, all of this. That's why nature is so important. If you're having a hard time and struggling to make decisions, and you're struggling to hold a baseline frequency, it's because that situation is not for you. And really, honestly, that is the only way right now that we're going to know that this relationship, partnership, job, business, collaboration is the right thing for us. When I'm around this person, can I hold my base frequency? More importantly, is my base frequency expanded when I'm around this person? But at a minimum, the guardians are saying right now, if you cannot hold a base frequency, right? When you're in the grocery store and you're around negative people or people that are upset or hurt, you can probably hold that frequency because you're around them for a few minutes. So we're talking about our everyday, day-to-day interactions, who is in your field. Okay. Emails, text messages, books, all of these things that are in your field. Okay. So let's say you have a bunch of emails about your divorce proceedings, or you have a bunch of emails about your custody case. If you don't need to save those, don't save them. Paperwork. I know everything is done electronically. Back in the day when I went through custody proceedings, which took 2 years, by the time I finally got the transcript for my entire court proceeding. It was probably 200 pages long of the custody trial. And this was 20 years ago. And I was like, I could just feel the energy of that, even though it was in the basement. So I took it outside and I burnt it along with other things. The guardians, along with your higher selves, are saying, in order to build, in order to grow, in order to hold that baseline frequency, get rid of anything in your phone, your tablet, your computer, your paperwork, your taxes, your W-2s, whatever it is that's in your field, anything that's in your phone, your tablet, your computer, anything that's on your bookshelf, in your photo memories, those things all hold an energy frequency. And so while you're working to establish and hold a higher frequency and a certain base frequency, you need to be deleting emails, divorce transcripts, custody agreements, old tax forms, whatever. And I look at it this way. I know my mom was very adamant about holding on to electric bills from 6 years ago. And it's like, it's harder for the older generation to grasp this, I think, but everything is electronic, you know. When I pay a bill, I'll write it on the calendar and say, I paid the electric bill, on the 1st of February, and here's my confirmation number. If that goes on the calendar at the end of the year, the calendar goes in the garbage can. Okay. We don't need to hold on to those things permanently, right? Because if you paid an electric bill or paid your taxes from 5 years ago, they have record of that coming out of your account. Remember everything as digital. I'm less trusting of the IRS, but any other paperwork that you have needs to be, if you insist on keeping it, keep it in the basement, the shed, something like that. You don't want to keep these things in the field. If I can walk by a bookshelf and intuitively through osmosis, not only read, but make a video about the information contained therein without even reading the book, that means you're continually rereading your divorce document, if it's in the house, or your custody agreement, or, lawsuit, litigation, whatever you have in emails, computers, text, all of that. Okay. So just a reiteration of how important it is when you're trying to hold a high vibe that you not only, and again, I always say this, but if there's something you have to hold on to, you have to hold on to it. If you're in a family dynamic, I'm not saying that you blow people off, blow relationships or jobs off without learning the lesson, without shedding that old skin, and without shedding in the way that you learned the lesson, and then you can move on, right? So you're not going to go through your house and burn everything or end every relationship without learning the lesson. But this is more speaking to when you know that. The whole point of this long-winded video is to tell you that the only way that you're going to know whether a job, relationship, or family dynamic should be continued is if you can hold your base frequency that you've already integrated, whether you've integrated that yesterday, 10 years ago, 3 months ago, whatever it is. You are extremely sensitive. Now, I had a dear friend that I have been friends with for many, many years. She has been talking about going through a divorce proceeding for the last several months. I don't know whether she's doing it or actually going through with it, but because this potential person could go through her phone or access her emails or whatever, she wanted to get all of those things off of her phone, but she wanted to be able to save it. And she's close to my age, older than I am. And like me, not that tech savvy. So in order to get those things off of her phone, for fear that her partner was going to see it or be able to use that information against her, she wanted to send it all to me. And just even when she said it, it was so heavy. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't want you to think that I'm not here for you going through this, but there's no way that I can accept your emails, your text messages, all these things that you've saved, because I don't want that energy in my field. And if it is in my phone, My phone is in my house, just like those books, right? So, meaning if I allow her to send me all those emails, text messages, whatever it is, pictures, whatever those things are, that's in my consciousness and in my field. And I just simply told her, I want to be here for you and I want to be a friend to you, but there's no way I can allow all of the garbage that has transpired between the two of you for the last however many years to come into my phone, into my home, and into my energy field. As much as we want to be there for people, we can find other ways to do that. So, with your knowing of that, if you feel like you have to store your taxes or your bills or your divorce proceedings or whatever it is, get it as far away from your field as you can. Most of us have a general saturated field of about 20 feet. Some of you, it's hundreds of feet. Okay. So you could be feeling into or hearing your neighbors even. But I'm saying to you, once a bill is paid in this electronic age, if you have a calendar, you can say, I paid this bill on this date, or my divorce proceedings went through on this date. There is no reason to keep that energy in your field. It's heavy and it's going to detract from your base vibration. So, where are you storing your bills? And what are you storing under your bed or close to your bed? There should literally be nothing under your bed. Okay. If you're living in a very small space, or if you've decided to, live minimally or off the grid, and you're, kind of double using or triple using everything in your space, that's wonderful and congratulations to you. If you feel space-wise that you have to store something under your bed, you really need that airflow under your bed, right? You need that in and out energy exchange in your toroidal field while you're sleeping. Having said that, if there are things that you have to store under your bed for space reasons, store blankets, store pillows, store crystals, store Christmas decorations, okay? Don't store bills, don't store paperwork, divorce proceedings, taxes. Don't even have those things in your bedroom, period, okay? So when we're working on our house, or when we first move into a house or an apartment, we set things up to aesthetically look beautiful. We want to make sure my apartment's very shotgun. We want to make sure when we're walking through our apartment that we have the space that we need to have to walk from one end to the building, right, or apartment or house to the other without hitting our butt or hitting our hips on something, right? So we very consciously decide to place our furniture where hopefully we're doing something, we're doing things in a feng shui way where we say, okay, I can easily walk through, and in my case, dance up and down the apartment without running into tables or chairs or lamps, or things like that. Take that one step further and say to yourself, okay, here's my general main walking path through the house. And in your general main walking path of the house is where you want books, crystals, artwork. Okay. Okay. So you're making a high frequency corridor. Okay. I'm just saying, really think about the path in your house, because I noticed the bookshelf wasn't even that close to me, but the bookshelf was in a place where I was constantly walking past it a trillion times a day, and have read those books on the bookshelf through osmosis without ever even reading them. Like I said, I opened those books randomly and discovered not only did I already know the information, but I had made videos about it. So this is very imperative in your base frequency. Don't store anything, like I said, super close to you. I will get, for example, I will get a bill that's due. I will take a piece of tape it on the kitchen cabinet. When that bill is due, I will take it down. I will pay for it electronically. I will write on the calendar the date I paid that bill, and then I will rip it into a million pieces and throw it in the garbage can. whether you're aware, consciously or unconsciously, of how sensitive you are to your surroundings. It's very important um, to be mindful, especially where you're sleeping. There should be nothing in your room other than a bed, clothes, artwork, things that are beautiful. You want a space around your bed, you want space under your bed. That's not always possible. If it's not, make sure that there is minimal amounts of things in the bedroom. Okay. So even that being said, you don't want to store a whole lot of books in your bedroom because you may be sleeping and reading those things through osmosis at the same time. Rest is really important with what's going on right now. Don't hold on to paperwork, clothings, belongings of things that need to be released. If you were once a size 0 and now you're a size 6, let that shit go, right? Because even at an unconscious level, it's kind of like you're saying to yourself, gosh, I used to be a size 0 and I want to be that size, but I'm not. So then there's this energy of, I want to be something I'm not, I'm disappointed in my body, blah, 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 right? Sell it, donate it, get rid of it, be happy with the fact that you're healthy and you're a size 6 and just move on from it. It's so important what we're storing in our reality. And one thing I can say, I've always been a neat and orderly person for sure. That's a big part of my personality. But every person that's ever been in my house, I would say for the last 20 years, comes in and says, wow, I really like it. I really like the energy. This is the best energy. My landlord, my last landlord had 220 apartments, and she said, this is my favorite apartment out of 220 apartments and or buildings that I manage. And it's the energy in there. I don't hold on to old stuff. I don't have a style. It's very eclectic in here. If you've, seen my apartment and all the different places I've lived, if you've been following me, no matter what direction I'm facing, well, there's a towel hanging up there to dry. But I'm surrounded myself with beautiful things. And if you could see the towel up close, it's also a beautiful thing. It's very, very important for you not to just look at yourself and say, gosh, I've had this beautiful frequency, but I can't hold it around this person, can't hold it at this job. Okay. So inspirational creation. How do we move forward? How do we have harmonic resolution? The only way for you to know if you're in the wrong people, place, thing, situation, dynamic is you can no longer hold your base frequency around that person. And again, it's a very fine line. Maybe there's something you say, you need to do, a lesson that you need to learn before you just tear off that skin. This is the end of the year of the snake. We're moving into the fire horse. I have many, many friends that were born in 1966. So this is your full natal return of the fire horse. Congratulations. But we have 12 or 13 days of this. Okay. So this is the true energy of the new year and the new sign. That's galloping and herding yourself very fast into a new energy. But we're still in the snake for the next, whatever it is, it changes on February 17th. Also, we have a full eclipse on the 17th as well. So I'm here to tell you, if there's something that if there's a crossroads you've been at or something that you cannot sustain your base frequency and sustain this relationship, job, interpersonal, dimensional, whatever it is. If you are in a situation where you cannot hold your base frequency, then you are at a crossroads, but you've been at this crossroads for 3 months or 3 years or 3 decades, whatever it is. Year of the Snake is about transformation. It's about shedding the old. Okay. Sometimes it's that we are afraid to speak, or we are afraid to share, or we are afraid to divulge to somebody else how we feel, what we're going through, what we need from that other person. And you have to be the one to discern that. Am I in this situation that I need to let go of? Or do I just need to speak who I am? Do I just need to tell the person what I need, what I want, Or have I known for 3 months, 3 years, 3 decades, whatever, however long it is for you, that it's never going to work, that I'm never going to be harmonious in this situation? Again, if it's something you personally need to transform and you need to speak your truth, or you need to set a boundary, or you need to extricate yourself or quit this job or get a divorce or whatever it is, right? This crossroads energy has been with you forever. That's why it was so important for me to come here and reiterate things that I made a video about 2 years ago, which is do not keep things in your field that bring you down. Dealing with the IRS brings you down. Dealing with the judicial system brings you down. Whatever that paperwork is, emails, again, we need to purge and delete those things in order to move into this new, amazing, fantastic energy, because the horse is about knowing in yourself that you can do this. You can gallop, you can ride, you can have freedom. You can be sovereign. You can allow this crossroads to come into harmonic convergence. But if you're going to stay in the job and then the relationship, in the family dynamics, in the geographical location, whatever it is for you, that is not resonance, that will not allow or disallow you from holding the base frequency that you've had for a while, you have to shed the skin, okay? And you can do it 3 years from now. You can do it 3 minutes from now, or 30 seconds from now, or 3 days from now. But you are best suited to shed the energy when the energy is conducive. I started this video by saying so many people are like, why don't you put on makeup, or why do you just throw on a hat and make a video? It's because the energy is there. When the energy is there to do it, I do it. Sometimes I have information. I sit over here for 3 days or 4 days because the energy is not conducive for something. When I feel the need to jump on here, and then I decide, oh, I should do my hair, I should do my makeup, I should, care about my appearance, what happens is the energy behind that message dissipates. So the zodiac and astrology and all of this is not the be all end all, but it's how we work with this energy. So me saying, here I am today with no makeup, without doing my hair, the reason is I want to do things when the energy are most conducive and most right. This whole last year is about harmonic resolution at a crossroads. I've known that this situation is not conducive for the base frequency I've worked so hard at. I've gotta let it go. Okay. And while I'm saying I sometimes just put on a hat or show up today without brushing my hair, putting on makeup, is because the energy is right now to give you this message, right? I'm not an influencer, right? And while I can say that, I care about how I look, the thing that I care most about is what the energy feels like and what the message is right now. And I want to bring you the message when it's most conducive. Now, I'm saying that to say to you, that's me in my little microcosmic world. The macrocosmic world is we have been asked to turn that indecision around, to be out of situations where we cannot hold the baseline frequency that we have worked so hard to achieve. Okay. Year of the snake, shedding the old skin, transforming the selves, going through the crossroads. The crossroad is about harmonic resolution. Can I be in this job and hold my harmonic resolution? Can I be in this relationship and be harmonious in my own energy? And if the answer is no, you know what to do. Now, while I say I can just throw on a hat and no makeup and make a video and the energy is most conducive, I'm only telling you that because the energy of you shedding what is not in harmonic resolution or harmonic alignment, it is best if you can do that right now, right? So it's best if I can make a video when the energy is most conducive. when it's most harmonic, when it's the strongest. And sometimes that happens when I don't brush my hair and when I don't have makeup on, and I allow myself to do that. And again, the whole reason I'm telling you that is you've got until the 17th of February, and then we're not in the snake transformation. You can transform tomorrow, 30 seconds from now, 3 years from now, whenever you want to do it. It could be 3 decades from now. Maybe you want to hold on to this thing, whatever it is, and take it to the grave with you. Your business, not mine. What I'm saying is how that equates from me to you is you want to be in harmonic situations, geographically, relationship wise, family dynamics, and jobs. And it's most conducive if you do it in the year that we're supposed to shed those things, year of the snake. Okay. Doesn't mean that you can't do it on February 18th or April 17th for that matter. But it's easier and more conducive and more harmonic if you go with the energy flow. It's easier and more harmonic if I come on here and give it when the energy is straight and clear and direct, instead of waiting until I have time to do my hair and makeup. Okay. So don't wait to exit stage left, whatever is out of harmonic resolution with you, until you have time to do your hair and makeup. That's what I'm saying. Okay. The theme of this year, and like I said, the guardianship message, the guardianship card, no matter what deck I use, no matter who I'm reading for, no matter what question is being asked, the guardians come through over and over and over again. If you cannot hold a base frequency of vibration that you've worked so hard to achieve, it's because you're in the wrong situation. And that bottom line is the only way to know. If I've held a base frequency for the last 6 years and I'm around a person in a dynamic or a job where I can't hold it no matter what I do, my initial tendency, and so is yours, is to judge yourself. Well, if I've done these things, if I've learned these lessons, if I've incorporated this higher frequency, then I must be failing because I can't hold it in this relationship. And I'm telling you, that's the only way right now to know whether something is for you or not, is if you've worked hard on that harmonic resolution and that harmonic frequency and that baseline frequency. And in that situation, you can't do it. Okay. The guardians want you to know that up until the 17th, you can do it whenever you want, but energetically it's the strongest until February 17th. And if you haven't, watch out, because that eclipse, February 17th, we have the eclipse, the exact time and moment when we go from the snake year to the fire horse. Okay. So basically what you're looking at is, in a way, if you have known for a long time that something's not in alignment with you, but you're forcing yourself to stay in it and wondering why you can't keep your base frequency up, and you don't shift this before February 17th, that's when we're talking tower moment. Okay. Maybe there's a conversation that needed to be had that would stop the divorce or stop you from losing the house or whatever it is for you. But we're talking about a real rug pulled out from under you moment. If you've been sitting here for a very long time, knowing you can't keep up your base frequency in a situation and you're forcing yourself to do it. One of the main things that the guardians have said over and over for the past week is the year of the fire horse is about so many things, but the most important thing is not only harmonic resolution and being able to hold your base frequency. This whole year is about reciprocity. Am I giving and giving and giving to someone or something or some situation or geographical location or job or family member or dynamic that cannot, will not, does not reciprocate what I'm giving? Okay. And in some situations, maybe you're just an acquaintance of someone, or maybe you're a remote long distance worker where things are not extreme, where it's easy for you to stay in a situation that maybe is not the highest outcome for you, but it is not detracting from your base frequency. So you have to be the person to decide. But this is about reciprocity. I feel like I've talked about this way too many times, but if Aunt Betty has given you energy of a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10, her whole existence, and you're always giving Aunt Betty a 10, you have to either stop giving Aunt Betty any energy whatsoever, or you have to be able to withdraw. We think we know better so we can do better, meaning this person, situation, or geographical location is giving me the energy of a 2 when I'm putting out a 10. Therefore, I stop putting out, or I give that situation a 2. Aunt Betty's given me a 2, I give her a 2, right? Shannon's given me a 5, I give her a 5. Okay. This whole year, again, is about many different themes, but the main one that keeps coming through over and over again for the past week is reciprocity. Stop giving to that which does not give to you equally. Okay. Not stop giving to things that don't give, but stop giving in a disproportionate way. Someone's given a 3, you give them a 3. Someone's given you a 1 or a 2 constantly, you probably don't need that in your life. Not everybody can give you the energy you need every single day, because everybody's energy and frequency is going to change every single time. This is about reciprocity. And that's really, really important. It's important for you. And I know how hard it is firsthand. Okay. It's hard to hurt people. It's hard to walk away. It's hard to quit jobs. It's hard to move away from your family and be by the ocean or whatever it is you want to do, or wherever you want to go. I will say that this year carries an energy like the country song, if anybody remembers from way back, called Live Like You're Dying. Some people, when they're given a diagnosis to die, sit around and say goodbye to people and sit in the energy of, I know I'm going to die because I've been told I'm going to die, and they do. Some people take on the energy like the old country song, Live Like You're Dying. You know what? I'm just going to go to Bali and sit on the ocean for the next month or whatever. And a lot of times, those people heal miraculously, because a lot of times when we get sick, it's stuck energy. It's giving to things, people, places, situations, geographical locations that don't fucking give back. Holding things in, giving to things that don't give back. And when people get sick, or when the doctor says you have 3 months to live, and people are like, oh, fuck it. Okay, I've got 3 months to do everything I've ever wanted to do. Most of the time, what they found is those people don't die. So is sickness just a matter of us not doing what we want to do? Is sickness just a matter of us not doing what we're called to do? Right? I was telling somebody yesterday, I hate this bullshit weather of Ohio. It's been 0 to -5 for on and off for the past 2 weeks. Why do I want to live somewhere where my face hurts to be outside, especially since I'm such an outdoor person? So I've been considering, it's been on the table where I'm going to go for a long time. And it's not just the cold, there's other considerations. People are not very friendly in Cincinnati. Everyone has their windows shut, their shades shut, their doors shut. They don't talk to strangers. I want to be where people are outside and where people are open. And I had a conversation with somebody yesterday that lives in New Mexico, and I looked at the weather and I'm like, that weather looks like basically a wet dream for me. So that is a consideration. I was kind of looking around at the weather and the housing market and different things in New Mexico. Speaking of which, Scott, good morning, Scott. I don't know if you ever connected to To my friend in New Mexico, Melanie. I don't know if you ever connected with Melanie J. Long or not. It's you guys are have this master blueprint for building the exact same kind of thing. And I don't know if you guys ever talked, but it's so funny because a year and a half ago, I did a reading for her, and then you were back to back, and you guys had like almost identical cards. And it happened again, and I did a reading for her yesterday, and she got horseplay, and you had the same card, and you guys have absolutely got to connect. Oh, okay, she just followed you on Instagram. Okay, cool. At least connect and have a conversation. And collaborate. This is a time of collaboration and equal give and take. This is a major crossroads where you've been asked for almost, what has it been, 350, 355-ish days to shed your old skin. Become the version of you that you know you want. You know you've always wanted to live somewhere, or you know you've always wanted to go out with this person or do this thing or acquire this thing or start this job, and just fucking do it. What are you waiting on? Again, the song Live Like You're Dying just keeps coming up over and over and over again. And I'm not saying to even consider for a second that you're dying. But what I'm just asking you at this crossroad, at this shedding of the old skin and coming into this fire horse. So we're talking about burning everything away, right? If you've ever been around horses, when they're around a person's energy that they don't like, or they get startled, they go, woo! They move and they shake off that energy. And so if you don't shed what is being asked of you, what you know, some things you're not conscious that you need to shed. So we're not dipping into that. We're talking things you've known about, you know, and you've known for quite a long time that you need to get rid of, that you need to shed. It's the time to do it, because February 17th, we switch to the year of the fire horse, and we have that eclipse on top of that as well. Okay, so that eclipse energy is going to stay with you for a long time. So what we're saying is make decisions before decisions are forced on you. And I'm saying the universe or God or whoever you believe in is going to force anything on you, because that's never the way it is. But the energy will come to a point that you caused yourself a tower moment, or you cause things to crash down on yourself when you know very specifically that something's not working and you force yourself to stay in it. This year is about giving to people, places, and things that reciprocate to your energy. Thank you so much for being here. If you are having a hard time discerning whether this person, place, thing, geographical relationship, financial situation, family dynamic, whatever it is at this crossroad, if you're having a hard time, if you're saying to yourself, have I learned the lesson? Right? I know I need to let it go, but I don't. We on this wave of consciousness, even if we know it's time to let something go, we don't walk away, put it down, burn it up, throw it out, exit stage left until we have moved through it and learned from it. So I'm not saying to do your, some kind of spiritual bypass and be like, oh, this isn't working, let me throw this out or exit stage left without doing it. Having said that, if you're at a crossroads and you're not sure if this person, place, or situation just requires you to give more understanding or to speak more or have harmonic resolution with this person, whether you should simply exit, there's something you're missing or something you need to work on, reach out to me and I would be happy to help you with that. Thank you so much for being here, and so much love. Oh, under an hour. Good job, Tina. Bye.